So I was born in Dallas, Texas, and moved to South Florida at a young age with my family. My parents come from a legalistic background, so growing up, I saw that bleed into my life, a little bit. Going to church, doing all the right things, as a Christian on the outside, but at home, it's in turmoil, you know what I mean? I saw my dad get physical with my mom a few times, a lot of yelling, and just stuff that a kid should not see. Being 10 years old, around that age, and them getting a divorce. So they get a divorce, and at the time, it's, maybe I was a selfish kid or something. I'm like, we got, now we get 2 birthdays, we get 2 Christmases, no problem. But what happened is now, we're going over to mom's one week, and then the next week we're going over to dad's. Dad is more structured, has more of a schedule on things. Mom's more spontaneous, more of a free spirit, so there's no order in my life. Fast forward to high school, obviously it's a single household on both sides. I go in, I was very good at sports, especially football. God just blessed me with being an athlete, but my high school identity was within football and it was within smoking weed. I graduate at 18, and I didn't go to school right away. I started working for my dad, so that gave me the opportunity to make some money. But then I started to smoke weed every day, all day, There wasn't a time really where I wasn't stoned out of my mind, At 20, I would say, I was on YouTube one night. I went down this rabbit hole of videos like that, people claiming that they went to hell or claiming that they went to heaven. Do I know if they were telling the truth? I don't know, but it doesn't matter because it shook me. And it's like, growing up, I knew who Jesus was. I heard the gospel, I went to church camp. I probably got saved like 6 times, you know what I mean? Going up to the altar. But I didn't know the grace of God. And those videos really shook me. Was walking with him probably for about, 5 years, and then I started to get back into smoking a lot again. Towards the end, my body started to reject it because I'd be smoking. I'd just be doing it all day for the most part. And I think that was some grace from God too, because I can't, from looking at my life, I could see a pattern of if I got into it, I couldn't stop it. You know what I mean? It would take God's hand to do that. So that happened. I rededicated my life to God. I knew of Bow Down, specifically PC, because he went to Jupiter Christian, which is where I went. I got involved, started to do outreach at Sullivan Park, and I loved it. And then that's when I met my wife, Mia. And for anyone that knows Mia, she's like a very sweet soul, just a sweet person. So I'm walking into church one day, and I think she's greeting. I'm a single guy at the time. I'm like, she's beautiful or whatever. And, she's very nice. I'm like, oh, she's interested in me. You know what I mean? Right away, right? But that wasn't the case. And she kind of shot me down a couple times because she wanted to guard her heart. I kind of got to the point where it's like, this probably is not going to happen, And my mom at the time owned a consignment shop, right? And I guess she wanted to bless the girls in 516, because that's what Mia did, with some clothes. Mia called me one day, and she was like, just bold. She's like, hey, I just want to find out, is this a strings attached thing? Are there strings attached to this thing? I'm like, no, I didn't tell my mom to give you clothes. In my head on that conversation, I'm like, I'm just going to try one more time. You know what I mean? I'm just going to ask one more time. Can we go get coffee? Can we go just do something, have a conversation? And she's like, well, have you prayed for confirmation about it? And I'm like, I haven't prayed for confirmation about it. I've prayed about you. Anybody who knows what a crush is like, you can't stop thinking about them. So I couldn't stop thinking about her, but I never had a dream about her, But that night I did have a dream about her. And immediately, Ephesians 5:25, which I didn't know at the time, that's what was what God spoke to me. Ephesians 5:25. I opened my Bible at like 6 a.m, like scrambling, Husbands, love your wives as Christ loved the church, and he gave himself up for her. So I actually went and talked to PC about it. And I'm like, what should I do? You know what I mean? And he's like, well, you should keep that dream in your back pocket. Don't tell her about it yet. Keep seeking counsel, seek God, And I'm like, okay, I'll do that. So I seek God on it even more, just harder, with all my heart. And I'm like, when should I tell her about this dream? You know? And it was like the Ephesians 5:25 voice, you know. You'll tell her a week from today when she pulls away emotionally again. But a week from that day, what happens? She pulls back emotionally. I'm like, okay, that's not for me then. You know, it's literally a week from that day. And I'm like, I got to tell her now, right? So I do tell her. And she's getting serious about praying about it now. God reminded her that she had like a vision book that she would like write down stuff that she felt like was from the Lord that she heard, or like dreams that she's had. She goes and looks through it. And in that book is a vision that was basically your mother-in-law is going to bless you with clothes. And this is years before, you know, her and I even met. So that at that point, she's like, yeah, I mean, this is, you know, this is of the Lord. Takeaway for me is, and it's very simple, it's that God has been faithful through my unfaithfulness my whole life. You know, he's always been faithful, and he will always be faithful when I'm unfaithful.